Ready. So I'll be doing mission command brief over OP Korengal, Captain Kearney. Start off with a brief video.
I always wondered why I was in Korengal, but when you get told that the bigger mission is that, hey, you're not in the Korengal to go hunt the bad guys, you're in the Korengal so the bad guys come to you and kill them. Why are we in Afghanistan? We went there to go kill the bad guys. Why are we still in Afghanistan and Iraq? If you listen to President Bush, we're there because that's where the bad guys are. The United States hasn't been hit since September 11th because we're over here and it's coming to us. We were in the Korengal because we were able to take the fight, I think, the broader scheme of things. We were able to take the fight away from cities like Jalalabad, Sadabad, and then whatever that village was that was Camp Wilson was. So then you.
So, just off that video, I think it's key to understand he addresses almost every one of the mission command elements in that. He's got clear commander's intent. He tries to get a shared understanding with the audience. He's letting you know why we're doing what we're doing, which I thought was excellent. The agenda for this, I'll start with the problem statement, brief introduction, summary, building cohesive team, going into shared understanding, provide clear commander's intent, exercising initiative. We'll go over the conclusion of the battle, lessons learned, and then the overall conclusion. So our problem statement for this, I know you can pose a problem statement as similar to a mission statement, but I chose to view it as a question, mainly because I think it grabs the attention more. So 173rd's occupation of OP Korengal, did Captain Kearney lead battle company through the use of the tenets of mission command? He's told, I'm going to be on a OP by myself, the highest ranking person. I'll have a company in the middle of the most contested environment in Afghanistan. So let's see if he actually followed the mission command tenets. So brief background of Afghanistan. In the area that he was in OP Korengal. It was established in 2006. To give you guys an understanding of what the terrain kind of looks like out there, imagine Colorado Springs, Pikes Peak. Now, taking your people, taking us right here, where we're acclimated to this elevation, and putting us in Colorado Springs, you're going to have that deficient oxygen, you're going to have run-down soldiers, and the natives, the ones that live there, are going to be very mobile, quick to move. Now, add on 70 pounds of kit. So that's what he was dealing with. On top of that, he was also dealing with tensions in the local community because there was no police force, there was no elders, tribal leaders. There was no tribal leaders. There was a couple elders in the community, and that was about it. There was a blood feud because the main elder, who is Haji Zalwar Khan, his family, along with a lot of the locals, were killed by the special forces during airstrikes back in 2001, based off of a competitor in the timber industry telling the special forces that, yeah, they're Taliban, go kill them. And so the airstrike came in and killed his family, and so he absolutely hates Americans. And now you put Captain Kearney into the mix, and he's forced to figure out how to get a shared understanding from the locals. So, Battle Company, 2nd Battalion, 503rd Infantry Regiment, 173rd Airborne Division, comprised of 4 platoons. Now, on OP Korengal, at the beginning there was 1 platoon. By the end of the war, or in the period, there was all 4 platoons located at OP Korengal. So you're going from a less than 40 people to over 150 by the end. It was a 15-month deployment, and this was back when they were doing stop-loss. So a lot of the soldiers were already burnt out from back-to-back deployments. They go to this area, it's the most contested, the tactics are win the hearts and minds, so they go down into the community and they say, hi, we're here to give you stuff, to help you better yourself. We're going to give you millions of dollars to build road, millions of dollars to build infrastructure, and what are you going to do? As soon as we turn around, you're going to shoot at us. Within the first month of being there, they lost one of their soldiers, which is pivotal because it happened to be the brigade command sergeant major's son. So that right there already is the morale of his guys are shot. If you can lose the brigade command sergeant major's son within the first 30 days, who's next? Going into building a cohesive team. So I put Operation Rock Avalanche on here because that was the main operation that they accomplished during the 12 months that they were there. Korengal was more of an occupation than an actual battle, but the Operation Rock Avalanche, Captain Kearney took his company and air assaulted in on the objective. They engaged the terrorists, they engaged the local populace for 6 days, and they had 2 casualties and 5 injuries during that operation. And the aftermath on it was the team was highly divided on whether or not they still supported the cause. A lot of them were told, or were we hate being here. However, in interviews post the war, or post on coming back from the war, all of them say that they would want to go back. Now, I don't know if that's a sign of leadership or it's a sign of the environment, the climate that was created amongst the command, but that says something when all of your subordinates say that they would want to go back into a war zone with you. So I think that he built trust. I just think that there was a lot of toxic in the environment as well because of blood feud and so forth. Creating a shared understanding. Captain Kearney did everything in his power, going down to the locals. He did patrols. He constantly was putting his guys at risk to try to let the locals know, we are here for you. There's at one point in time when he has a conversation with a small boy and they discuss why the Americans are there. And the small boy repeatedly tells Captain Kearney that, well, you're here to put bullets in my house because there's bullet holes in my house. And he goes, yeah, there's bullet holes in your house because your house was hosting terrorists. So he does everything he can. He meets with the locals, he meets with the elders, he meets with everyone to say, hey, if you house terrorists, we're going to shoot at you. We're going to get rid of the terrorists if they're engaging us. We don't care if they're in your house or not. However, we are here to build you up. We want to offer education. We want to offer roads. We want to offer all these things. And he tries to create that shared understanding. I personally think that there was just too much animosity in the area that it wasn't going to happen. Providing commander's intent. During Operation Rock Avalanche, he deliberately calls for fire on objectives. He makes it clear exactly what he is trying to do. So in here, he runs a very moral-based command, and he tells his subordinates, if you allow your soldiers to kill a civilian, if you allow your soldiers to do something that is unmoral, then once you have allowed that to slip, you can't get it back. And I think that that gives a really clear intent on how he commands. Going to exercise the discipline initiative. Understanding the area, understanding the people, understanding the fact that they're hated and that they're highly contested, him putting active patrols, him setting up defensive postures, him bringing food down to the locals. He does a very good job at exercising initiative to try to win the hearts and minds of the locals. The battle outcome, Operation Rock Avalanche, as I said, 2 Americans killed in action, 5 wounded. Enemy collateral damage with over 20. And OP Korengal, in all, they were there for 365 days. In the 365 days, they took contact 225 days of those. So to put that into perspective, that's 9 months out of a 12-month time frame they were shot at. Overall, the OP closed in April 2010, and the combined level of casualties was 42 American casualties for the duration from 2006 to 2010. Lessons learned. Leaders engaging in the morale of the soldiers is critical. They constantly took casualties. They constantly had wounded soldiers. It says in there that the terrain was so treacherous that they had at least 15 broken ankles. If they had not been actively engaged in trying to keep the morale of their soldiers, I absolutely believe that that OP would have been overrun. The first sergeant makes a comment at the beginning of a documentary where he says, it's okay to cry, but when I need you to get your head back in the game and let's go fight. And I thought that was a very powerful statement. And I absolutely believe that that first sergeant got that mentality based off the command climate that Captain Kearney was instilling. Train how you fight, because your last training event will depict how your first fight will go. Within the first 30 days, they took a KIA. So I think that's absolutely something that every person should take to heart. Within the first 30 days, they took a KIA. That tells you that their last training event, it wasn't as strict as it should have been. Conclusion of this, Captain Kearney was given a horrible situation. He was put in a hostile environment with finite amount of resources, and he managed to build a team of trust where soldiers in interviews say that they would go back and follow him. He inherited a blood feud, and he did everything in his power to communicate that there was a shared understanding, or to create a shared understanding of how Americans were here to support them. Through morals-based leadership, he focused subordinate leaders to doing the hard right instead of the easy wrong. And then he placed his subordinates in inherent risk, understanding that the culture demanded initiative and presence, or they could be turned on. Any questions?